The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Good evening and welcome to Bronx Talk. Now its 17th year, one of New York's longest running weekly talk shows. We're on live tonight, and so we'll take your phone calls at 718-960-7241. You can also email comments to us at bronxtalk@hotmail.com, and we'll read those on the air during a future edition of our program. Well, this year, for the first time, a part of Bronx Week was dedicated to a Bronx Film Festival. Highly acclaimed films, as well as lesser-known gems, were all part of it. Tonight we're going to take a look at three of those films, the making of them, their portrayal of the Bronx, and all the other aspects of it. We'll be joined by others later in the show, but for now, please join me in welcoming the filmmaker of Gun Hill Road, Rashad Ernesto Green. Good evening, Rashad. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Gary, for having me.
Well, Gun Hill Road has received just enormous acclaim, but let's just rewind the clock a little bit and talk about the creation of it. When did the concept of it get started? And how did the production process come to be so that we have this really wonderful film?
Well, in about 2009, I was going to Sundance with a short film of mine called Choices. And when I went there, I decided that I really wanted a feature to talk about. So I went into the back cave and I came out with a feature in about a week's time. It was inspired by my own family.
When you say came out with a feature, you mean you conceived of the film?
I wrote the first draft of what would be Gun Hill Road in about a week. Of course, it took over a year to rewrite it and get it good. Right. But that first one was about a week. And it was inspired by my own family. I have a family member who went through something very similar as the father character in the film that's depicted by Esai Morales. Esai's character, he is going through, he comes back from prison and discovers that his wife is estranged and his teenage child is going through a sexual transformation that he can't quite comprehend. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to, show a side of this character that we're not really used to seeing, a side of the Bronx that we're not used to seeing, to show that, through love and through family, we can come to understanding.
Mm-hmm. One of the interesting aspects of it to me, and as I said at the opening that we talk about the portrayal of the Bronx, you grew up in the Bronx?
Well, I was born in the Bronx and my family's from the Bronx. I was here every weekend coming to my grandma's house, but I moved around a little bit.
Is there something about the nature of the borough that you said, you know what, this is the right place? Because you could tell that story, frankly, about anywhere, but this is the right place to tell this story.
Well, my family's from here. I'm very, very nostalgic about the Bronx, and I always see the Bronx represented in film in a way that doesn't necessarily depict the same Bronx that I'm used to seeing. We see a lot of gangster movies, a lot of cops and robbers, and we see it depicted a certain way, and we don't necessarily always see into the intricacies of our families, the complexity of our people. And I wanted to have a film that showed that side of it.
Mm-hmm. I think, and we're going to show the trailer, and it's extremely powerful, and I think that for me, living in this incredibly diverse, complicated borough, what you say is absolutely true. This cuts to issues that are in every neighborhood, not necessarily directly every family, but the kind of complexity is in there. Talk about the filming of it. Where was it made, and how much of the Bronx did you consciously put in there? And obviously the name of it is Gun Hill Road. It can't be any more Bronx than that. So give me a little bit of that.
I mean, for me, the Bronx is actually like a character in the film. It's pertinent to the story. It's very important that that the characters were shaped, their mentality is shaped by the Bronx itself. So every location, for the most part, was in the Bronx. About 98% of it was shot here. We shot one day in Manhattan and another day in Long Island, but for every other day of those 3 weeks in last July and August was shot right here in this borough.
I want to show the clip because we could talk more in depth about the content of the film. So let's show the clip. I think this is the trailer, so it needs no introduction. It tells its own story, and I'm sure it will evoke a reaction from our intrinsically Bronx viewers. So here it is. If you haven't seen it and you didn't see it in a Bronx Week Bronx Film Festival, Gun Hill Road.
What do we got here? 95, 2 years grand larceny, 01, a year on arms possession, resisting arrest. Last bids are 3 out of 5. Possession and selling. Tell me, what's different this time?
I ain't going back.
I don't know if I believe you, but you believe you. That's what matters, right?
Come here, papi.
Hey, Mr. Rodriguez. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I gotta take us to the game, papa. What's the matter? You don't like baseball no more?
It's okay, I guess.
What do you like, Michael? Football? Basketball? You like school?
Yo, don't forget your panties.
So what's up?
Trans what? You see what time it is? Talk to me like a man. I didn't raise you to be like that.
You didn't raise me. You can't just come in here and try to be Poppy now.
Well, I am your poppy.
What if that's his life, man? That's him.
That's his life. That's my life. That's my boy. You're a man, Michael. You're not a woman.
Shut
now.
No!
My hair.
Leave it alone! He's not hurting anybody!
You disrespect this house.
Don't do this!
I'm not pretty anymore. Why do you have to come back?
Here it is. My son wants to be like this.
Don't blame me for this!
What are you doing this whole time?
I was working. Where were you, huh? The boy loves you. He needs you. We need you.
Well, there it is, Gun Hill Road. Hard not to react to it, although I want to get into some of the Bronx aspects I asked you while we were watching it. So where'd you get that shot overhead of the subway?
We were shooting off of a rooftop in the South Bronx there. It was probably around 180th and Southern Boulevard.
Talk a little bit about it. This has come up on our show a number of times. If there was a soundstage in the Bronx, and we've talked about the Kingsbridge Armory right next door, would it have encouraged you even more so to shoot in the Bronx? And do you think that's the kind of opportunity that we ought to have here in the Bronx for filmmakers like yourself?
Well, I think we need it. You know, the Bronx is coming up, and you know, we're ready. We're ready to expand this filmmaking and independent filmmaking here in this borough for sure, and a studio here would definitely encourage that.
You would come back and shoot another film.
Oh, I hope so.
Was it difficult to shoot that in the Bronx? Because you'd have to deal with, of course, the mayor's office and finding your locations, et cetera?
You know, the thing about New York City Mayor's office, so long as you have the insurance and a permit, they're very, very kind. They let you shoot pretty much anywhere in New York, so long as it's public streets.
Right. Well, give us some neighborhoods. Drop names. Drop names.
I mean, we were literally all over. We were up in Gun Hill and between Webster and Fort Tryon. We were at Southern Boulevard and 180th. We were over at DeWitt Clinton High School. I mean, we were literally all over, man. We utilized everything with Van Cortlandt Park as well. And yeah, we had a blast. The neighborhood and the community just really supported us.
What's next for you and for that film? Now, people who watch that trailer are going to say, "My goodness, it's an incredible film," and certainly I want to see my own hometown represented in there. So, when and where is it going to be seen?
Well, lucky you can check it out August 5th. It releases.
Lucky
here.
all of us.
It releases in New York and LA on August 5th. You'll be able to check it out in the city.
In all theaters.
Not all theaters. You know, we're still an independent film, so it'll be a smaller release than maybe like a Thor or something like that. You know, but there will definitely be select theaters that you'll be able to check it out for sure.
There is a website. It's gunhillroad.com.
Correct.
For you, a sequel, does it inspire something else? Do you think that you'll, having done well with this, that you'll look at the Bronx and say, you know what, let's take another aspect of Bronx life? Tell me what your thoughts are based on how this has gone.
Well, so far, before I made this first feature of mine, I did a few short films, and all of them were in the Bronx. So, you know, I hope to continue to bring our stories to life right here in our borough. Yeah, the next feature film, I'm definitely conceiving another Bronx tale. And
maybe, given what we were talking about before, maybe there'll even be a Bronx soundstage for you to shoot some or all of it.
I certainly hope so.
Jane, did you tell me that there was a phone caller? Oh, okay, so we do have Mark. I thought Mark from Pelham Parkway was going to call. He also has been a filmmaker who's been on our show. Hi, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Gary.
Good, so you like what we're doing tonight, right?
Let me turn down the TV because one of my rare moments.
Come on, let's go. We got a busy show. I got two more filmmakers.
I can't hear you.
Mark, what do you got? Talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, two things. One, you might have not known, the Bronx came very close, very close to almost having Avatar 2 and 3 being filmed there. We were negotiating to get them over here, Lightstorm Entertainment.
Okay.
And we actually lost out, not even to Vancouver, we lost out to L.A.
All right, well, so what's your other point? I just want to move it forward. I got some more films.
There might very well be a studio within the next 2 years built in the Bronx, but it's going to be with Canadian money. CBC is looking to expand, to go global like the BBC.
And where will that be?
They want a New York presence.
Where will that be?
It might very well be in the South Bronx. Because
not down the road here at the Kingsbridge Armory, huh?
No, because they don't want that big. They're looking at to do something between Melcet, they do cinema in Montreal, and a few other places.
All right.
That are building. But here
well,
goes our
take Rashad's number and give him a ring.
No, Newark, New Jersey.
Right.
It seems that all of Newark is almost an economic development zone, and Cory Booker was up in Montreal pleading his case on why they should do it in Newark.
No problem. Mark, thank you very much. We're not interested in Newark. We want to do it in the boogie down Bronx. Rashad Ernesto Green, congratulations on what is a great film, recommended to all Bronxites. August 5th. Look forward to hopefully be playing somewhere in the Bronx at one of our theaters or a couple of our theaters.
Absolutely. And also follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Gun Hill Road. We also have a Twitter, Gun Hill Road Film. So, yeah, we'll be able to keep you posted on that and tell you exactly which theaters to check out.
Thank you so much for representing the Bronx. It's not always pretty, but it's as we really are. And after years and years of having films and media about something else other than who we really are, this one cuts to the core. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Gun Hill Road is the movie. We have two films coming up, Bronx Paradise and Poetry Man. More Bronx movies on Bronx Talk. Don't go away.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool, really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
Hi, I'm Sean Johnson of the 2008 U.S. Gymnastics team. I'm here with our friends from VeggieTales to say, be a player, get up and play an hour a day.
Besides gymnastics, how do you stay in great shape, Sean?
I love to dance and rollerblade.
Cool.
You don't have to be an Olympian to be a player. Just do the things you already love to do, like jump rope, ride a bike, or even play freeze tag.
Now that's something to flip for.
Well done! For fun ways to get healthy, visit www.smallstep.gov.
Hey, back with you on Bronx Talk. Our subject tonight is Bronx Films. John McSherry. James McSherry. You know, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault. James.
Prep time.
Nonetheless, he's a filmmaker in the Bronx, and he'd been on our show before when we had the morning show. Good evening, James McSherry. Thank you so much. And also Wayne Gurman. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
Now, right, I got your name right.
Yes, you
right?
did.
Okay. Bronx Paradise is the movie that you were in, and Poetry Man is the movie that you
wrote and directed.
There's a relationship between the two of you, so because you were telling me that you had something to do with his film, so let's get to that before we break it down.
Real quick, we both produced each other's films. He wrote and directed his film. I wrote and acted in my film. So that's the quick version. You want to expand on that?
Well, James, let's talk a little bit about Poetry Man. A little background, in the same line of questioning that we just asked. Yeah. How did it come about?
It's a short film that I wrote basically in one night. And I was looking to do a short film because I wanted to make a feature. And I figured, how am I going to get someone to invest in me to make a feature if they don't see any history of what I can do? Mm-hmm. So I showed it to Iris, who wanted to produce the movie, and she said...
Give her her last name.
Iris Montalvo produced the movie, absolutely. Yeah, she's great.
She's here, she's in
and I said to her, I'd like to make this movie someday. She goes, well, what do you mean someday? Let's make it now. So I got together with a couple of friends of mine, Wayne included, who put up $5,000. Iris put up a considerable amount of money. I put some money up myself, and we got together and we said, let's make this movie.
Talk about the borough of the Bronx and how that plays in Poetry Man.
Well, like Rashad was saying, it's like a character in the story. The Bronx is who I am, and it insinuates itself into everything I do. Whether it's working on Wayne's film, working on my film. I think collectively we agree that it's really, the meat and potatoes of our story is the Bronx.
Give me an aspect of life or a vision that you have about the Bronx that you said, this works and I want to put it into play.
Well, I got to say, even though, I don't want to glorify violence, but my story happens to be, have a tragic ending. But what I think informs my story, and in many ways it's different, is that in spite of that tragedy, in spite of the violence, it's the art that transforms the story, and I think that makes it unique. And I think there's a lot of things in the Bronx that that aren't portrayed in that way. It's always down to like.
So if it's violence, it blows out the whole thing, and it's the biggest thing. But you're saying that there still is underlying life through that.
There's underlying life. There's art. There's intelligence and family and a lot of things. A lot of elements to a Bronx story. It's not a typical Bronx tale. Like
it was very interesting a little while back, and we had done a show on it. That the Bronx, there was a singer on one of those shows. I can't even remember the name of the show. It's a famous TV show where the kids sing and they vote on them and all that kind of stuff. And American Idol, of course. Thank you, Jane.
But and he said something about growing up in the mean streets.
Right, and when people were complaining the way it was portrayed, there was another group of people said, you know what, that's life in the Bronx.
Reality. That's our reality. I remember that.
And Wayne,
it wasn't
your film portrays it as well. Let's show a piece of Poetry Man first, and then we'll come back and we'll do Bronx Paradise.
Very good.
James McSherry and Poetry Man.
It was like Poetry Man.
What?
It was sheer and utter poetry.
The murderer in contemporary American cinema tends to be glorified. And I ask you, where is the redemption?
Talk to me about the true story that inspired it.
I got to say, inspired by my very good friend Nicky, and Nicky did 21 years to life for murder, and his story and my story sort of parallels the clip of Cagney and Pat O'Brien and Angels with Dirty Faces. And you know, one guy becomes a priest, one guy goes to jail. I became a teacher, and Nicky went to jail. But Nicky always represented to me the ultimate potential a person has, you know, regardless of everything else, regardless of circumstances, right. And what kind of guy he was, and had his life not taken this turn, what he could have been. And Nicky is a tremendous inspiration, and behind the film, and as a friend to me, you know, in all these years. So I feel a debt of gratitude to him, but also, you know, I had a story to tell. You know what I mean? And you know, Wayne and I are sitting here because I think in a lot of ways Wayne's story is original. You're not going to see a story like Bronx Paradise. Poetry Man's original story. You start watching it and you think, oh, this is another gangster movie, and then it turns.
I got to bring Wayne in here so that we can talk a little bit about Bronx Paradise. Talk to me about Bronx Paradise. Introduce the notion of what we're going to see here in the clip.
Well, Bronx Paradise was based on my life. At the age of 19, I fell into a criminal lifestyle until I was arrested when I was 35 years old. And it tells the story of those days of when I was a criminal and trying to raise a family. And I was a drug dealer, I was a loan shark, I was a bookie, but I was surrounded by much more dangerous people than myself. And I was trying to survive, and I was trying to find my own little paradise.
Based on a true story.
Yes, absolutely.
Much in the same way. And you know, this is where, to me, representing the Bronx as it really is, makes a lot of sense. So we can show the clip, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so this is now Bronx Paradise, not the Lowe's Paradise, which is in the Bronx, but
Bronx
this
Paradise.
is Bronx Paradise. Take a look.
That's right. Yeah, I'm ready to fly high to the hottest thing. Same reason why we fly me schemes.
Who wants to go to the movies?
Come to America, learn to speak English.
You know what, guys? Go home. I'll be there in a few minutes.
Just leave it alone, Wayne.
No, I'm not going to leave it alone, okay?
That's something you want to say? I hate you because you hate me. Touch my car! Touch my car! Touch my car!
You need to stop getting into these violent situations. Do you understand you're going to die here, Wayne? Do you understand that?
Thanks for jinxing. I got no money coming in. You start selling cocaine, you will be dead or in jail within a month, guaranteed. There are currently some wackos running around the neighborhood robbing drug dealers. You want those nut jobs knocking down your door at 4 in the morning?
And by the way, Sunshine says hello.
Don't shoot like the Sunshine. Send your fake mouth and sit down. The John Gotti days are over, my friend. It's your move now, Harry. It's your move.
I gotta get out of this job, man. There's nothing but constant aggravation with these people.
I need my money tonight. If the machine wasn't rigged, then you'll get paid. It's 50 odd. Yeah, what are you doing?
Hey, Johnny boy, it feels like old times. That's right, Daddy. You haven't shown me that much love in a long time. Cops are here.
What else is no?
Arresting innocent people! There's murderers and killers out there, you know?
I need money. The only body I can love.
Wait, help me.
I don't know about murder, torture, assault. Nothing.
Frankie's been asking about you.
He wants a piece of my action. He knows I'm making money. Someone must have told him I'm making money. Who do you think you are? You come into my neighborhood, you do bookmaking and shylocking, and you don't kick nothing back to me?
Just a guy trying to feed his family.
You know, that's how it happens. You're walking down the street, bing, boom, bang. Next thing you know, you got a bullet in you. You're both dead. Dead man walk. You understand what I'm saying?
You need to leave town, or you kill him.
I have a bad feeling.
I cannot leave the place I grew up. Where my family lives, where I make money, where my friends are, because you got a feeling? It's just another day in the Bronx, baby. This is my life, my pain, my glory. This is my life, my game, my story. This is my life, my sweat, my tears. This is my life, my blood, my tears. This is my life, my pain, my glory. This is my life.
Tremendous. What viewers don't know, while it was going on, they were both pointing out where they shot. We certainly saw the Orchard Beach parking lot.
Orchard Beach.
List a half a dozen of places there.
LaSalle Avenue, Tacoma on Bureau Avenue, Orchard Beach, all over the Bronx. We did the South Bronx a few shots.
Outside the Brooklyn Bar and Grill.
Right,
And
Brooklyn Bar
I
and
have
Grill.
to tell you what I'm more secure in as somebody who always is concerned about how the Bronx is portrayed. If guys from the Bronx are making movies, then it's what James said, there's always going to be some life that pokes through, even if it is violence.
Absolutely. No, this movie oozes the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx. I'm a Bronx character. And it's, we had to put Bronx in the name, Bronx Paradise. We were thinking for a couple of weeks, what are we going to name this movie? And James came up with Bronx
I should tell you that Jane Folloro, our producer, just mentioned what you said, and that woman who was on the porch was in Saturday Night Fever.
Yes. Karen Lynn Gorn.
You had big news about that, or some news about the film?
I have some very good news, as I told James the other day. Jim Belushi has agreed to remake this film, Bronx Paradise. He's going to act in it with name actors. It's going to be a studio film, and I'm very excited.
That is extraordinary.
Yeah.
So can we see this version at some point?
I don't know. Let's see how it goes. This might be a DVD extra.
All right. Maybe one day it'll be the trivia. Remember the original. And you know what? If he comes in and shoots it, maybe all the people in the Bronx will benefit. He'll use some of the same locales.
Like El Mariachi. Antonio Banderas redid it with Desperado. He acted in the,
What's next for Poetry Man?
Well, Poetry Man, we just got back from Cannes, Iris and I, and it was wonderful out there, and we met some investors. If they want to invest in me making a feature, I'll consider doing that. But I want to work on my next project, which is a screenplay based on my book, A Clean Street's a Happy Street. And I have Kathy Moriarty, she's an Academy-nominated actress, De Niro's wife in The Raging Bull.
And she's in the Bronx Walk of Fame.
She's in the Bronx Walk of Fame, a great actress, great lady. And we had a table reading before I went to France, and she just knocked out a ballpark.
I'm sorry, I've got to do my political advocacy. If there was a sound stage in the Bronx, would you be working in it?
I think we definitely, yeah. I mean, we're
you don't even need a sound stage to make it.
That's right. We're going to grill
Bronx,
shoot.
Let me just say this. I heard you speaking to the other gentleman from Gunner Road. The Bronx is the sound stage. Of course, it'd be great to have the sound stage in the South Bronx, but the streets of the Bronx is the sound stage. That's my sound stage. You know what I'm saying? The streets.
And most indie filmmakers are.
Had you? We're gonna have to run. Had you thought about acting beforehand, or was that your
I'm
thing?
an actor. I'm an actor.
An actor by trade. Okay.
Yes.
You
Bronx
passed
Paradise.
yourself off as a drug dealer. And
No. It's a long story. You'd have to see the film. I got arrested and I became an actor.
Wayne Gurman from Bronx Paradise. Thank you.
BronxParadise.com.
BronxParadise.com and James McSherry.
JamesMcSherry.com.
JamesMcSherry.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Gary.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Folks, if you have further comments or questions on anything you heard on tonight's show or saw on tonight's show, or anything going on in the Bronx, and email them to us at BronxTalk@hotmail.com, and we'll read those on the air during a future edition of our program. Archives of Bronx Talk available at BronxNet.org. You click Bronx Talk on the right-hand navigation bar. Next week, we'll take a close look at that new Bronx housing development that has innovations designed to keep Bronxites healthier. We'll talk about that building as well as how to impact Bronx health in general. So we'll see you then and every Monday night at 9 for Bronx Talk. Thanks to producer Jane Folloro, director Michael Arias, to Dina and our cast of thousands who are all around us, and to you,